In this video, we're going to talk about lawyers versus attorneys. I think this is a confusing thing for a lot of people, a lot of lay people. It's not really very complicated. I think I can explain this very, very simply. But the fact is, most people that don't work in the legal field don't really know the difference between lawyers and attorneys. If you had asked me 20 years ago, I didn't know the difference between lawyers and attorneys, right? So until I married an attorney, and then I learned real fast what the difference was between lawyers and attorneys. Before we dive in, let me just remind you, if you like this content and find it helpful, don't forget to hit like on the video. Also subscribe to the channel so that you get notified as new videos are released. And as always, please feel free to share this with anybody that you think could benefit from the information or on your social media or whatever. This is just such a deep topic when we're talking about custody issues. Like there's just so many different aspects to it and people need all the help that they can get. Let's talk about, first of all, really the basic similarity or the basic characteristic, I guess, that a lawyer and an attorney have. And that is that they both went to law school and graduated with what we call a JD degree, which stands for Juris Doctor. Okay. So if you're a lawyer, you have a JD. If you're an attorney, you have a JD. That's really the only basic thing that they always have in common. Okay, the next level is licensure. Okay, so every state has their own licensing for attorneys. So usually there's an exam you have to take in this, a bar exam. You usually take that within your state. If you've been practicing a long time and you move states, there's different states have different rules. Sometimes you have to take the bar exam again. Sometimes if you've been practicing long enough, you can just be grandfathered in. It really depends on the state that you're moving to or adding on for your practice, how long you've been in practice, all that kind of thing. So you have licensing in each individual state. This is why attorneys have to practice only in the states that they are licensed in. Okay, they cannot just practice anywhere. You have to be licensed in each individual state because laws vary state to state. Now, if you're a federal attorney, right, then federal law obviously applies across our entire country. But when we're talking about things like family law, that's a local jurisdiction issue. So that varies state to state. We have different custody rules, different support rules, all that kind of stuff in each state. So they can both potentially be licensed. Okay. A lawyer can be licensed in the state that they're practicing in or whatever, but an attorney has to be licensed. An attorney cannot go to court. If I go to law school and I graduate with a JD, which I'm not an attorney, or a lawyer for that matter, but if I go to law school and I graduate with a JD, I can't then go represent you in court just because I graduated from law school with a Juris Doctor. Okay. I have to actually apply for a license in the state that I'm in, which in my case is California. And I would have to sit for a bar exam, apply for a license, pass the bar, and then I would get a license. And then I can go to court and I can represent clients and I can litigate. A lawyer doesn't represent clients in court, essentially. A lot of times they're not licensed by the state bar necessarily. A lot of times they just have the Juris Doctor and they perform consultation or research or some sort of service like that where they don't really need that state licensing necessarily. And so, they may or may not have that. But what they don't do is go to court and represent clients. They don't have the ability to do that if they don't have the license. Now, if they have the license and they're currently not doing it, could they transition and do it? Sure. And then they'd be referred to as an attorney. Okay. So the licensing is always true for an attorney, is sometimes true for a lawyer, depending on what they're doing. But the difference is when you have somebody that's going into court and representing clients and all that, that person is an attorney. Somebody who is a lawyer without a license cannot go to court and represent a party in the case. When we talk about, researching lawyers, like that's what most people will say to me, Tammy, can you help me, research lawyers? Or Tammy, I found this lawyer. What do you think of this person? Or they'll want my input or whatever. Because obviously, I've run in that world for 20 years now. So, people ask me for my opinion on this type of thing a lot. You want to go and look up, like in your state bar records, you can go and you can pull up the attorney's name. Like in California, we can go to the state bar website, we can put in the attorney's name, and we can pull up actually the disciplinary record of that attorney. So you can tell if their license ever lapsed for any reason. Sometimes it can lapse for something like, oh, they made the payment, their bar dues payment late or something, pretty innocuous like that is just like some administrative issue. But sometimes there's things where they were suspended for misconduct and things of that nature. And I have seen people that have gone and retained an attorney only to find out later, oh my goodness, there was some disciplinary action in their history or some issue that I had no idea. You can also go look them up and be able to tell, it tells you when their license was first issued. So you can tell how long they've been practicing. They usually have to maintain their current address and phone number and website with the state bar. So usually that's the most accurate information. I know sometimes when we go out and Google people, it's like you'll see a website or a name or whatever, and then you click on it and the website's not valid anymore, or you can't find a website for that person. And you're like, I don't really know. Is this person practicing? Are they not? Are they in a firm? Are they not? And so when you go to that state bar website, that's where you can get a lot of that contact information, or if the information has changed, like if you have an old attorney and you don't know where they are now, or you can't find them now, you can go to that state bar website. That address and information has to be maintained for a period of time. Thomas passed away a couple of years ago, and my contact information and stuff is still on there for him because that's the valid contact. And I think we have to maintain it for, 5 years or some standard like that in California. So it can give you a lot of information if you know where to go look. So a lot of times, lawyer is kind of the word that more lay people use, but attorneys will always refer to themselves as an attorney. They don't generally call themselves lawyer, even though we see a lot of them who own law offices, right? So it's kind of weird, but they don't call themselves lawyer. They call themselves attorney, and they call each other attorney. And in the courtroom, the judge refers to them as attorney, right? Like when my late husband would be standing in front of the court would say, Attorney Ferreira, did you receive this document? Or, whatever. And so that's how they address each other. They don't say lawyer, because if they're standing there representing a client, they are an attorney, which is sort of, I don't really want to say a step above. It's a different context, right? A lawyer is somebody that's not really engaged in that type of litigation practice, whereas an attorney is. That's their job, is representing clients. So I know it's kind of a simple concept, but I think it's a question that a lot of people have. So hopefully that's helpful. It's interesting, but when you go out and you do search for a lawyer, an attorney, dare I say, on Google, and you type in lawyer, I think that's what I searched for actually when I was looking for divorce lawyers in the very beginning. I think I typed in lawyer. And most attorneys know to use that word for their website because we know that lay people generally refer to attorneys as lawyers. Law firms kind of already know that. So they build that into their SEO or whatever. But if you've been searching for a lawyer in your area, I would encourage you to go out and type in attorney and see if you don't maybe get a few different names. You probably will. So I hope that helps. If you'd like help with more issues like this and just understanding kind of the basics of the system and how to navigate it and all the lingo and the terms and all the stuff that your head just swims from, you can go to divorceuniversityonline.com/VIP-coaching. There is information on that page on my group coaching programs for moms and for dads. And there's also information on my premium VIP one-on-one coaching services. So if your case is a little more complex, or you just feel like you really kind of want that high level of support and hand holding because you're just stressed out and you need to solve the problem, then you can find information on that too. And thanks for joining me. I'll see you guys next time.